when I'm making this video, I know myself to be what Hegel calls reason, which could be defined as the singular consciousness which knows with absolute certainty that the world is identical with itself. And the problem that I find myself in is that I need to convince others of my personal certainty, and the passage from reason to spirit is when reason succeeds in convincing an other of its own truth, which is a very difficult moment. But for now, I will just try to prove that I understand this world and Hegel, because this is my world, in the sense that my consciousness is one with the world, and the only proof that I can bring, instead of being just empty assertions, is to prove by a rational argument that I am saying the truth, because I understand aspects of the world better than anyone else. And you who are watching this video, whoever you are what Spinoza would call a mode of the one infinite substance. You are in relation by your body, which is subject to all the influences of nature and all the emotions that you receive from being in contact directly or indirectly with other. You are affected by the state of being of the one infinite substance, and your thoughts are manifestations of the states of your body, and reciprocally, that's a reciprocal determination. The thoughts that you understand will affect your body. They will appease you or worry you, and the emotions that you feel will transform your thoughts. So you are in a constant movement, and the popular or famous people who make music or art or literature or politics or scientists, they are what Hegel calls figures of consciousness, because they express a deep point of view on the substance. They express an aspect of being, whether artistic, scientific, political, or spiritual. And the more influential they are, the more individual minds will identify with them. So by knowing the famous figures of consciousness, one can know the whole thought and the whole being of the substance. And what I would like you to understand is that each figure of consciousness, as I've just defined it, is in relation to another figure of consciousness. For instance, a right-wing political leader is determined in his speech, in his worldview, in his mindset by leftist political leaders. He will react directly or indirectly to the change of minds of the leftist behavior, and he will adapt and adopt different viewpoints depending on the leftist mindset. And this is just an example, but we are all in a reciprocal, interconnected flux of exchanging information and constantly changing. We think we do it consciously, but it's what I call God, which acts through us, in the sense that when we are confronted by new information, whether they are intellectual or sensuous, it modifies the state of our body and the state of our mind, and there is a reciprocal interconnectedness between the neural connection, the structure of the chemical reaction within the brain, and the emotions that we feel and the ideas that we have. And we are all interconnected, not simply on the internet, but the internet enables the conscious manifestation of this consciousness of the substance. And just very simply, when you read the top comments under a YouTube video with millions of views, when you read the top comments under the video, you get a reflection, an image of the zeitgeist, of the consciousness of a part of being that it's an how do you call it in English? Not a totality, a mass, a gathering of many thousands, tens of thousands of individual consciousnesses, and this is the substance, as Spinoza call it, giving itself its own self-consciousness. And the same goes with the books that appear in the library or in the bookshelves. They do not randomly appear. They express the zeitgeist, the spirit of the times. And what you read in the news, that's the same thing. And what you see on TV, all this is interconnected. And this is the phenomenology of spirit. So we are living within the phenomenal appearance of spirit. And a phenomenon means Greek words which mean that which appears, and every human activity is a manifestation of an inner determination. The thoughts that you have inside your mind, you make them external by speaking, by making signs with your hands, by making unconscious movements with your body, by writing, by sharing, and that, I think, is easily understandable. But what is more complex, and I myself do not understand, is that nature, the world of time, space, and matter, is itself a reflection of spirit. What Hegel calls the alienation of the idea, or what Schelling, the German philosopher, calls petrified intelligence. So we all know that nature is rational because it obeys certain determinate set of laws, but what I myself don't understand is how mind can produce nature. I don't understand. I believe that it's true, and I firmly believe that it's the case, but I cannot explain it. I have not enough knowledge for now, but it doesn't matter. What I want you to understand is that the world is mind or spirit made manifest. So we are living within the phenomenal appearance, the phenomenal manifestation of mind or of spirit. That's, some people call it panpsychism, some call it cosmotheism, some call it the one universal consciousness, whatever. I call it the phenomenology of spirit. And Hegel's book enables us to understand the process, and I will comment briefly. I have the German edition right before me, and you can find the text on marxist.org in English, or you can find it on the internet. That's not a problem. Hegel explains that what he calls science is not what we moderns call science. Science is the movement, the becoming of self-knowledge. And in order for something to be true, for this scientific view that Hegel presents, you should not predicate a determination from the outside, but it is the individual consciousness which must make this predicate or this determination its own. And let me take an example. If I tell you that the Poles in Poland, they are white, I myself, from the outside, predicate a determination and say Poland is a white country and the Poles are white. But many Poles do not consciously know it. Of course, when they look at them in the mirror, they see that they have a white skin, but they don't think of themselves as being white. But if I take the example of America, there are many more whites in America who are conscious of being white. And This is a process. This is a process in the movement of consciousness that all the figures of consciousness, the mind appropriate, become the owner of its own determination, and it is the structure of the substance, the movement within the substance, the the course of the world with all the events which force consciousness by she doesn't know, or it doesn't know what it is looking for, but the truth is all consciousnesses are aiming at absolute knowing, and they try to set to hold firm, to grasp, to maintain a solid state of mind, but every thought contains within itself a contradiction. So the individual consciousness is always forced to move, and different people move at different rate, different speed. But the spiritual process consists in believing something, then negating it because it is contradictory and it is not satisfactory, and to move to another state of consciousness, and not to reject that which you had believed to be true before, but it is part of your experience, it is part of the spiritual path, and a spiritual a mind is that which keeps negating and incorporating new thoughts, but not by completely rejecting the former and the previous thoughts, but integrating it within itself. And the most profound thinkers, the deepest thinkers are those who have traveled the world and the seven seas, to quote a song. Those who have had many states of mind, and you have this idea that spiritual people are those peaceful mystic who are in a state of tranquility and are saying, oh, don't worry, you find your inner peace or whatever. But in order to arrive at this state of consciousness, they must have gone through a very moving and an unstable path, and they've had to overcome hardships in their own personal life, and to negate previous thoughts, and always to evolve. And this path, which leads from one belief to another, to another, to another, Hegel tells us that you cannot oppose abstractly truth and falsehood, that some things are true and some things are false, because truth is a self-movement which constantly negates what it had previously believed, and the false is a moment of the true, in the sense that in order to arrive at what you call truth, you first have to negate what is false. But if the false is what has enabled you to arrive at truth, it is a moment of the true. So you cannot abstractly oppose truth and falsehood in the movement of consciousness, because it's precisely because it is a movement. It's a Selbstbewegung in German, a self-initiated process, and that's just the broad picture. And if you are interested in what I have to say, try to think of yourself and of the people that you consider to be spiritual in the movement that they have gone through in order to arrive at the state of consciousness where they're at. And I will stop there for now. I will continue in other videos.